Thought I'd make a quick video on how I cut my arrows and how I weigh out the brass inserts so that they're all the same. So these have been my 3 practice arrows. I put these vanes on. They do have a helical to them. The new arrows, for some reason I decided to order them with vanes already on them. They don't quite have a curve, but the vanes are just slightly offset to give it a spin. We'll see how they match up with my 3 good arrows at the range, especially at longer distances, to see if they're shooting the same. If they are, I'm just going to leave it. If not, I'll cut these off and put new vanes on. So I've already done 2, and I thought I'd show you how I do the last one. It's different from what you're going to find out there on the internet. There's a lot of people that really overcomplicate it. I've done it maybe to 25-30 arrows, and everything's gone great. So I take the nocks and knock collars off, if you have knock collars, so that the only thing on here, the old arrow, is the brass insert. And there's nothing on the new arrow. Step 2. Hold them up to each other like this and mark the length. The next thing you're going to need is the drill master, a little teeny tiny saw. I'll give you a close-up of this thing. Little teeny tiny saw. It cuts right through these carbon arrows. So on this jaw here, you can see there's a little indentation there that I use to hold the arrow. Then I measure from left to right and make sure that it's getting a clean cut. Now you're supposed to wear a spacesuit, a chemical protection suit, respirator, everything when you cut this stuff. Especially if you live in California. Stuff just kills you and renders you infertile. But if you're not from California, you should be okay. Just don't breathe it. So we are just a perfect cut. Next step is I need to weigh my good arrow, the arrow that shoots perfect out of my bow. So when the arrow is all set up with a broadhead and a lighted knock, I'm at 502 grains. But with no knock and no broadhead or field tip, I should be at 378. So 377.9. Now I got to make my new arrow weigh 377.9 with the brass insert. I'm going to get a weight of the new arrow without the brass insert, 339.6. Here's my basic math. Oops, jeez. That's supposed to be so 38.4 grains is what my brass insert needs to be. Now these brass inserts come right about 44.5 grains. This one's 44.3. The last one was 44.6. So I've got to shave off some weight. The first step I do is I just cut a little bit off on the bandsaw. I'm just going to give it a quick measure. We're at 40. So I need to take 2 grains off. Like about 2.5 grains off. It doesn't take much. I'm at 39.5. I need to take off exactly 1 0.1 grain. So I'm just going to lightly sand this and come back over and check again. So it's at 38.4 exactly. I'm actually going to take just a hair more off to account for the glue. Like 1.1 grains, maybe 0.2 grains. Now, for some reason I like using the hot melt glue. It works great. I have never had a failure, but I'm going to shoot these 1,000 or so times before hunting season, so I'll get an idea if they're in good or not. I get it heated up real good and start turning it so it's really fluid, liquidy. And then I'll put it on the brass insert and quickly get it started into the arrow and then push it in. I guess something else I forgot to tell you is that I kind of chamfer the end of the brass insert a little bit, and I also hit it up with some really rough sandpaper to create a little bit of grooves in it on my last round of sanding. Just gives a little bit more of a mechanical bite with the hot melt glue. Try to give it a twist as you're going in. And that's it. If I did things right, this should weigh 378 grains. There you go. 378 grains exactly. Now I've got one of my original arrows all assembled with the nock and nock collar. The new arrows, they're the exact same brand, manufacturer, everything. Didn't come with nock collars for some reason. I'm just going to get a total arrow weight. 492.5 grains. Keep in mind when I do put my illuminated nocks on, that adds about 11 grains. So now I've got 6 arrows to shoot with. I have 9 more, but I didn't want to make all those up in case for some reason this didn't work out and I need to make adjustments. 6 arrows is plenty to practice with. I've been shooting at No Limits Archery. They've got a whitetail at 75 yards, and they have an elk, 3D elk, at 95 yards, and been doing pretty good at those targets. It's kind of crazy that with this modern archery technology, it's easy to shoot 95 yards on a 3D elk. That's it. If you got any comments, leave them below. I know this was not very scientific. There are all sorts of videos on YouTube with people with all sorts of apparatuses set up to, I mean, they'll roll all their arrows. This is a hunting setup. Really not sure if all that makes a big difference in a 40 to 50 yard hunting situation, but we'll see how these shoot at 95 yards. Goodbye.